National Financial Ombud Scheme returned around 328 million rand to consumers from March to December 2024, handling over 35,000 complaints across insurance, banking and credit divisions. Howard Gabriels is the divisional lead ombud. He's joining us now to have a conversation on some of the achievements and the impact on South African consumers. A very good morning to you, Howard. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. So just over a year now since the launch of the Financial Ombud Scheme, tell us about the work that you've been able to do in this short space of time. And I know the period under review, we're only looking at around 10 months.
Yes, good morning, Aldrin. It's been since the 1st of March, we amalgamated 4 different ombuds in the financial sector: the credit ombud, the ombud for banking services, and the short-term and long-term ombuds. In this annual report that was released, we report on the first 10 months of operations from the 1st of March to the end of December. We have dealt with or closed 35,000 individual complaints from consumers during this 10-month period. And the good news is that we've returned 328 million to consumers as a result of our intervention in the complaints they have lodged. This is quite significant because it really is showing that we are fast becoming the garden of justice in the financial sector.
Yeah, if you look at life insurance, that particular component, it makes up the biggest chunk of what has been now paid back to consumers, 202 million rand. Tell us more about some of the complaints that were being dealt with there.
So typically in the life section, we're dealing with complaints from consumers that involves payment of life policies when the person passes away and the family is not being reimbursed, or sometimes it could be about the disability challenge where somebody becomes disabled and then they are not paid out by the insurance. In life, we also deal with funeral policies. So a significant number of funeral policies are also covered in that amount.
Yeah, and then when we look at the companies that have been implicated now, just still sticking on the life component, around 628 formal complaints were opened against Old Mutual Life Insurance Company, which represents 18% of the complaints that have been opened, and then Liberty Group then comes after that. What does this then reveal to us about the internal handling of some of the complaints that consumers have brought forward?
I think we've got to look at the role of the ombud in a different way, because the important thing that we've got to understand that all the companies that participate in the ombud, except that sometimes consumers will be unhappy with their assessment of a complaint. And what they are doing is they are subscribing to the principle that if they are unable to satisfy their consumer, that consumer would have the right to complain to the NFO, and the NFO provides an independent, impartial service outside of these companies for the consumer to seek redress. So while it's important to understand that we're showing in our annual report the number of cases and the highest number of cases in this instance, you also need to take into account that some of these companies are some of the largest companies and have got many thousands, sometimes more than million consumers in the particular sector. We really believe that alternative dispute resolution has a vital role to play in building confidence in the financial sector. And we need to embrace the fact that these companies is giving consumers an opportunity to use the independent ombud system to adjudicate matters.
Yeah, and just finally, the retail credit solutions and looking at the credit division there, some of the issues that have been raised, value-added services during the reporting period and minimum payment calculations with a number of retailers have been raised as an issue. What's at the core of this?
Okay, so just to make it clear that it's not only RCS that is affected by this. What we've been receiving complaints of is that consumers would come to us and say, I'm paying my account every month in terms of what I am required to pay, but my outstanding balance does not reduce. And the reason for that was that if you have a retail account, you are sold third-party services on that retail account. So you sometimes are getting data, you get credit life insurance, you get a club magazine, and so on. I mean, we've had one instance where a consumer had 13 such additional items. But the way the outstanding balance is calculated doesn't take into account the payments for these third-party accounts. So it only takes account the payment for the suit you bought at the retailer, and hence your account don't reduce even though you pay the minimum balance required. And several of the retailers has now agreed to adjust